Destiny does not always roar. Sometimes it hisses, and only those who listen closely survive to see it. Some slip in silently, so silent that the air itself seems to hold its breath. The world forgets to move, the wind pauses, birds stop singing, even shadows hesitate, as if warning that something unseen, ancient, and dangerous is near. Legends whisper that the greatest powers in nature hide in the most feared creatures. Beneath sharp fangs, inside coiling bodies, within a serpent's hiss, forces wait, waiting to choose a human soul. Not the strongest, not the richest, but the one who is worthy. And this is the story of such a soul. In the quiet village of Riverstone, wrapped by gentle hills and whispering streams, lived a boy named Aariv. Life had been cruel. His parents died when he was too young to remember their faces. Hunger became familiar. Loneliness became his closest friend. Out of pity, his Aunt Martha took him in. She fed him and taught him letters, but her home never felt like his. Her husband Robert and their children treated Aariv like a shadow, someone who existed but never truly belonged. At night, Aariv often remembered the only warmth he had ever known, his mother. Before sickness carried her away, she pulled him close beneath a thin blanket and whispered, "One day, Aariv, life will try to make you small. Promise me you won't believe it." "What should I believe, Mama?" he asked. "That even a frightened child can carry mountains in his heart. And remember, nature hides magic in strange places." Those words slept inside him, waiting. After school, Aariv wandered through the quiet streets of Riverstone, each closed door and frowning face pressing down on him like a weight he could never lift. He had offered his hands, his time, his eagerness, and yet no work, no opportunity, no kindness awaited him. The disappointment settled in his chest, heavy and stubborn, making each step toward home feel longer than the last. By the time he reached the edge of his aunt's yard, the sun was already dipping behind the hills, painting the sky with streaks of amber and violet. There, standing in silent grandeur, was the old oak tree, its wide, knotted branches stretching like protective arms into the fading light. Aariv felt a small spark in his chest, a fragile hope he hadn't realized he still carried. He climbed under its shadow, breathing in the faint scent of moss and earth, listening to the soft rustle of leaves whispering secrets he longed to understand. Beneath that immense canopy, Aariv could finally exhale. He read from the tattered notebook he carried everywhere, letting the words carry him to distant lands and impossible adventures. He dreamed aloud to the wind, sharing secrets no one else would hear. And sometimes, just sometimes, the oak seemed to answer with a sigh, a shiver of its branches, as if it had been waiting for him all along. This tree, gnarled, patient, and impossibly wise, became his refuge, his silent companion, and in the quiet moments when the village seemed determined to forget him, it became his doorway to destiny. And little did he know, the fates had already begun to watch, coiling like a hidden serpent in the shadows of the day yet to come. The afternoon air hung heavy, almost unnaturally still, as if the village itself had forgotten how to breathe. Aariv sat beneath the wide, sheltering branches of the oak, his eyes fixed on the hollow in its trunk. He felt a shiver creep along his spine, though the sun was warm on his shoulders. Something was stirring, something alive. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the hollow shifted, like the gentle exhale of a creature sleeping just beneath the bark. Aariv's heart thumped in his chest. He dared not move a finger, for the slightest sound might shatter the fragile balance of this silent moment. Then, from the shadowed hollow, a massive serpent emerged. Its scales caught the sunlight and shimmered like liquid silver, sliding over one another with a soft, hypnotic hiss. Its eyes were impossibly sharp, almost human, yet unreadable, and for a heartbeat, Aariv felt as though the serpent was peering straight into his very soul. He froze, frozen by awe, fear, and something unnameable stirring deep inside him. And then it happened. The serpent lifted its head, its jaws parting slowly, revealing a treasure Aariv had only dreamed of in whispered legends. A pearl glowing softly, like a heartbeat captured in a jewel. It didn't fall. For a single, breathtaking heartbeat, it hovered in the air, pulsing with a warm, mesmerizing light. Aariv's breath caught in his throat. He could feel it, not just see it, calling to him, tugging at something deep inside his chest. The serpent's massive body coiled around the pearl with the gentlest care, almost as if it were a mother protecting a child. Then, with an elegance that belied its power, the creature swallowed it again, disappearing into the hollow as silently as it had appeared. Aariv's pulse raced, his mind swirling. The pearl was alive, not in the way a stone shines, not in the way a jewel dazzles, but in a way that moved, thought, and waited. His chest tightened as a whisper of destiny brushed against him. The world seemed smaller, quieter, and impossibly vast all at once. He knew, with an unshakable certainty, that this was only the beginning. Something ancient had chosen him, and he could never be the same again. For days, Aariv returned. The serpent appeared again and again, dropping the pearl, playing with it, and swallowing it back. He noticed something terrifying. The snake never stayed long without it. The pearl was its life, and maybe his destiny. One afternoon, he climbed a branch, holding wet mud and shaking hands. One mistake, and the serpent could strike him dead. Fear crushed his ribs. Then memory rose. His mother's voice, weak but clear. Bravery is not the absence of fear, my son. It is moving while fear is watching. I'm scared, Mama, he whispered. The leaves stirred. Aariv let the mud fall. It landed perfectly on the pearl. The serpent hissed violently, coiling as if its soul depended on that jewel. Then, slowly it fell still. Shaking, Aariv grabbed the mud-covered pearl and ran to the stream. When he washed it, the water moved away from him. Wherever he stepped, rivers parted. Destiny had chosen him. The hills stretched out before Aariv like a silent kingdom bathed in the soft golden light of the morning sun. The pearl in his hand glowed brighter than ever, a gentle yet insistent pulse that seemed to breathe in rhythm with his own heartbeat. Its light shimmered across the grass and rocks, revealing shadows and secrets the eye alone could not see. Aariv could feel it guiding him, tugging at him toward places that had always been hidden, as if the land itself were whispering, "This way, if you dare." He knelt by a patch of soil, carefully scraping away the dirt with a jagged stone. At first, nothing. Then a sparkle caught his eye. A gemstone, unlike any he had seen, gleamed with colors deeper than diamonds, refracting the sunlight in wild, impossible patterns. His fingers trembled as he lifted it, marveling at its beauty. And then another shimmer appeared, and another. Gold veins, hidden for untold generations, began to reveal themselves beneath his feet, weaving like molten threads through the earth. Even the wind seemed to notice. Gentle gusts bent the tall grass toward him, carrying the faint scent of moss and wildflowers, as if acknowledging the pearl's presence. Birds paused their songs to watch him, and a squirrel darted quietly across a tree branch above, as though it too understood that this place, this moment, was sacred. Aariv let out a soft laugh, half disbelief, half awe. "So, you bend rivers, reveal gold, and nearly get me eaten. Is there anything you don't do?" he whispered, the words trembling with a mix of fear and wonder. The pearl pulsed softly in response like a heartbeat. Aariv's lips curved into a wider smile. "At least you can't talk back," he said, the humor easing the tension coiling in his chest. For the first time in years, Aariv laughed fully, the sound ringing through the hills. It was a laugh of freedom, of astonishment, and of the quiet realization that his life, once so small and constrained, had just opened into something infinitely larger and more mysterious than he had ever imagined. The market of Riverstone buzzed like a living creature, a cacophony of shouting merchants, clattering carts, and the scent of fresh bread mingling with the earthy aroma of the river. Aariv moved carefully among the crowd, the pearl pulsing faintly in his pocket, its gentle glow a secret only he could feel. At a stall overflowing with glittering trinkets, a merchant squinted at a small gem Aariv placed on the counter. "Where did you find this?" the man asked sharply, suspicion curling in his voice. Aariv's fingers tightened around the pearl. "From the ground," he said quietly, keeping his tone steady. The merchant's eyes gleamed with a cunning spark. "Ah, a rare gem, is it? I can give you a fair price. Or perhaps more. If you sell the source too," he said, nodding toward Aariv's pocket. Aariv's heart skipped a beat, but he smiled lightly. "No," he said calmly. "The pearl stays with me." The merchant barked a laugh, loud enough to draw attention, then slapped a handful of coins onto the counter. "Keep your secret, boy. May your luck never run out." Aariv exhaled, his mind already turning. The pearl's pulse seemed to thrum in approval, a quiet reminder that patience and cleverness were far more valuable than immediate gain. He left the market, taking the forest path home. The air was cool and still, the leaves whispering underfoot. And then, as if sensing his focus, the pearl's glow intensified, golden rays stretching outward. Aariv froze. The rays landed on a small mound of earth, shimmering faintly in the dappled light. Heart pounding, he knelt and dug carefully with a wooden hook. Beneath the soil, his eyes widened. A gemstone, larger and brighter than any he had ever seen, lay hidden as if the earth itself had been waiting for him. He felt the pearl pulse warmly in his pocket, approving his patience. From that day onward, Aariv learned a rhythm. He carried the pearl, wandered to uncommon and hidden places, and let its quiet magic guide him. Each treasure revealed itself only when he approached with care and respect, never by force, never by greed. And as Riverstone slowly began to breathe easier under his hands, wells dug where rivers had dried, small schools rising where laughter had vanished, shelters built where cold once ruled, Aariv's wealth grew naturally, a reflection of wisdom, patience, and a boy who had once held nothing but a mysterious pearl. The afternoon sun spilled gold across the cobblestones of Riverstone, glinting on the surface of the stream as Aariv walked toward the old stone bridge. His thoughts wandered. The pearl, the treasures, the impossible discoveries, when suddenly someone collided into him, sending a flutter of papers scattering into the air. "Oh, sorry," a soft melodic voice called out, carrying a nervous laugh. Aariv crouched instinctively, gathering the papers before they were carried away by the gentle wind. As he held them, he realized they were sketches, delicate, precise drawings of Riverstone, the twisting streets, the oak tree where he spent so many quiet hours, the silver shimmer of the river he loved. "They're beautiful," Aariv murmured, feeling a warmth spread in his chest, not from treasure, but from the art itself. The girl's eyes met his, sparkling with curiosity and kindness. "I'm Alyra," she said, a shy smile tugging at her lips. "I'm Aariv," he replied, offering his own tentative smile. The two of them walked to the oak tree, where the afternoon shadows played across the grass. Beneath its wide, comforting branches, they spoke for hours, sharing stories of small dreams, of childhood memories, and of the quiet, lonely spaces they each had inhabited. Aariv found himself laughing more freely than he had in years, the heaviness of life lifting just slightly in her presence. Later, by the stream, Aariv felt compelled to share more. He told her about his parents, about the hunger that had gnawed at him, the silence of nights without comfort, and the bitter sting of being overlooked. Alyra listened with quiet attentiveness, her hand brushing against his at the edge of the water. Alyra stood near the riverbank, her sketchbook clutched tightly against her chest. A sudden ripple of the water, or perhaps a trick of the wind, made her stumble backward, and for a heartbeat her breath caught. Aariv's hand shot out instinctively, steadying her. "Careful," he whispered, eyes scanning the shimmering surface. She laughed nervously, a soft sound that mingled with the gentle lapping of the water. I almost forgot how strong the river can be," she admitted. And in that moment, Aariv realized that danger could hide in even the most ordinary places, but together, they were cautious, aware, and unbroken. When she took his hand in hers, Aariv felt a gentle, grounding warmth. "You weren't chosen because you found treasure," she whispered, her voice as soft as the rustling leaves above them. "You found treasure because you were already chosen." For the first time in years, Aariv felt something heavier than gold settle in his chest, a feeling of belonging, of hope, and of connection. As they watched the sunlight dance across the river, he realized that some treasures were not meant to be held in hands, but in hearts. Even as the sun dipped behind the hills, painting the river in shades of amber and rose, Aariv felt a strange, uneasy tug at his chest. The moments with Alyra had been perfect, laughter, gentle hands, the first spark of a connection deeper than any treasure he had ever held. And yet, destiny has a way of testing hearts when they are at their most open. From the far end of the village, a carriage rolled in, its wheels clicking over cobblestones with a rhythm that seemed almost deliberate, almost knowing. The villagers paused mid-conversation, staring as the carriage drew closer, wrapped in the hush of the approaching twilight. Aariv's fingers tightened around Alyra's hand, a quiet warning echoing in his chest. The carriage door opened, and a girl stepped out, her movements smooth, measured, almost unnatural in their grace. Moonlight seemed to cling to her silk garments, making her glow with a soft, unearthly radiance. "I am Seraphine," she said, her voice calm but sharp, each word carrying the weight of intention. "I follow rising power." Aariv's heart skipped. The girl's eyes held an intensity he had never seen before, and when she leaned slightly closer, her words were almost a whisper, teasing, dangerous. "Your gift could rule cities. Come with me." Temptation laced every syllable, and yet the underlying threat made the air around them quiver. Aariv felt a cold shiver trace his spine. He glanced at Alyra, her eyes wide, her hand clutching his, and he understood immediately that this was no ordinary encounter. Later, by the river where the sunlight had once danced across their laughter, Alyra trembled slightly, her gaze fixed on Seraphine, who lingered near the tree line. As she slipped past the guards, Alyra whispered, voice tight, "Danger follows glowing things." Seraphine stepped forward, slowly revealing a tattoo curling along her arm, the unmistakable shape of a serpent. "My family hunts pearls like yours," she said softly, a quiet menace in every word. "We control empires, and we will have what belongs to us." Aariv's chest tightened. He realized for the first time that beauty could hide deadly intent, and that the road ahead was far more perilous than he had imagined. He looked at Alyra, determined to protect both her and the pearl, knowing that the coming days would test not just his courage, but the very heart of his love. Deep within a cavern bathed in an otherworldly glow, the pearl pulsed between them, its light reflecting off the walls, casting shadows that danced like silent witnesses. Aariv's heart raced as he faced the impossible choice. Seraphine stepped closer, her voice soft but commanding. "Take everything. Rule with me. Your gift is meant for power, not mercy." Alyra's hand brushed his, trembling yet steady. "Leave it and live with me," she whispered. Her eyes held warmth, hope, and a courage that no treasure could match. Power on one side, peace on the other. The pearl's glow seemed to thrum faster, as if sensing his indecision. Aariv closed his eyes, memories flooding back, the gnawing hunger of his youth, his mother's gentle smile, the silent oak that had sheltered his dreams, and Alyra's quiet, unwavering warmth. A slow breath, a steady hand. He lowered the pearl gently into the earth. "I choose what never frightened me," he said, his voice firm, echoing in the cavern. The light dimmed, the cavern sighed with relief, and the test was over. Power and temptation had waited, and he had chosen love, courage, and peace. The oak tree stood silent once more, its wide branches swaying gently in the evening breeze, as if it had witnessed every secret, every triumph, and every heartbreak of Aariv's journey. The village of Riverstone, once quiet and weary, now hummed with life. Children laughed by the wells he had built, merchants thrived along streets he had helped repair, and families once forgotten now found hope and warmth under the sun's golden light. Aariv walked slowly beneath the familiar shade of the oak. The pearl safely returned to its resting place deep in the earth. Its glow had faded, but the lessons it had imparted remained brighter than any treasure. He could feel the pulse of the world around him, the rivers that had bent to its magic, the hidden gemstones revealed by its light, the wind that whispered secrets only he could hear. And he knew that true power was never in what he could take, but in what he could give. He glanced at Alira, her hand brushing against his, a quiet reminder that love had guided him as surely as courage. He remembered the hunger of his youth, his mother's gentle smile, the lonely hours beneath the oak, and the dangers he had faced with Seraphine lurking in the shadows. Every step, every risk, had led him here to this moment of peace, wisdom, and quiet triumph. Aariv smiled, not with pride, but with understanding. The pearl had tested him, the world had challenged him, and the heart of Riverstone had been transformed. Some treasures are not meant to be hoarded. Some are meant to illuminate paths, heal wounds, and inspire souls. And so, beneath the twilight sky, Aariv's story became more than legend. It became a promise that courage, love, and generosity could turn even the humblest life into a tale that would echo through the ages, like the soft, enduring pulse of a hidden heart, forever calling those brave enough to listen. If this story has amazed you, keep watching, because Beyond the Ordinary has even more secrets waiting.